Bienvenidos a CDMX, which stands for Ciudad de Mexico, which is Mexico City. Welcome. Today we're going to explore El Zocalo, which has a very long history here in the largest city in North America. Right here, the formal name is La Plaza de la Constitución, which means Constitution Plaza, and is the second largest plaza in the entire world. I'm Ariel, this is Urbanist. Let's explore CDMX and let me know where you're watching from. I'm so excited to show you around here in Mexico City. I've been here for a few days and I've really been falling in love with this city, and there's a lot of cool architecture and history all around here. Bienvenidos todo el mundo to Mexico City. Bienvenidos, if you don't know what that means, it means welcome. And I'm so hyped to be here. Today we're going to learn about the Aztec ruins underneath our feet. Oh yeah, there's Aztec ruins all around here in this entire area, almost in this entire city. But there's ruins that we can see that are exposed from high above. So where are we right now? We are in Mexico, of America, and we are in the city. And the city is what used to be called Lake Texcoco. It used to be a huge lake, but the city has been built above it. But why is there a city built upon a lake that's surrounded by mountains in a valley? Well, for that we have to go and see the ancient design of this city that used to be called Tenochtitlan. Let's go. Hey Dwayne, nice to see you here. Hello B Griffin, hello Sharon. So this is one of the largest flags in the entire world as well, and this flag is the key to learning about this city's history. Why is it the key? Well, we have to look right at the coat of arms. Hey, Ariel, my executive producer on my car tours. Welcome, nice to see you here. Hey, Jan, huge Mexican flag, gigantic. I almost feel overwhelmed by it. But why is it called El Zocalo? If you are familiar with the Spanish language, Zocalo means like a plinth. Plinth is like a huge column. But it's not named after this column because this is a flagpole. The reason it got the nickname El Zocalo was because Santa Anna, who was one of Mexico's presidents back during the era of the Mexican War in the 1800s, he planned to build a memorial plinth. The plans didn't go through, but the name stuck. El Zocalo, which means plinth, in essence. But let me show you the Mexican flag as we kind of stroll around this gigantic, massive plaza. This is the Mexican flag for the country, not just for the city. But right in the middle of it, I'll show you, there is the coat of arms, the official coat of arms of Mexico. It's also the official coat of arms of the city itself, because this ties to the very mythic origins of what used to be Tenochtitlan. Right here, we have the eagle. The eagle is biting a snake. That eagle is perched on a cactus that is right in the middle of a lake. But what does this mean? Well, there used to be the Mexica people. This was about 100 years before the Spanish came, and they were wanderers. They claimed to have descendants from the Toltecs, and the Toltecs claimed to have descendants from the Teotihuacanos. We're going to learn about the Teotihuacanos soon when we but the short version of it is the Mexica people, where we get the word Mexico, were wandering around the lands of Mexico. They had nowhere to settle. So a lot of their skill set was mostly either hunting or war, because they were mercenaries. They worshiped this god called Huitzilopochtli. It's quite a mouthful. I'll show you his graphics soon. Stay tuned. Huitzilopochtli was the god of war. Now, he was also the hummingbird. When he took a form on this earthly realm, he became a tiny little hummingbird, which is a bit odd for a god of war. Well, Huitzilopochtli said to the Mexica people, I will give you plentiful food, plentiful land, and also maybe even an empire if you find this one place. This one place is the place that will be the key to your future growth. All you gotta do is find a lake with a cactus, and on that cactus is perched an eagle. There is the promised land for the Mexica, right here. And they found that cactus, that eagle, that snake, right here, in the middle of Lake Texcoco, which in the middle was a tiny little island called Tenochtitlan. So let's find the subway first. And why are we going to the subway? Well, you know, there's a very interesting display in the subway. So let's locate the subway entrance. It's hard to spot because you see how gigantic this is. Susan, welcome. Nice to see you here. Hey, anything review? After 2 months watching your channel, I'm catching you doing it live from the Philippines. Hey, welcome. ¿Cómo está acá? Kenneth. Hello. Never knew about the history. Thank you. My pleasure. How can I donate? Ray. PayPal. PayPal.me/Ariel Vieira. Here it is. If you're enjoying this history tour, do let me know. And you can feel free to tip on PayPal.me for a one-time. And if you want to have access to 360 videos of the places we're going to cover on these daily live videos, become a patron or become a member. Hey, Laureen, aloha. So out this gigantic plaza, I can see the subway entrance is right there. It's very subtle, but let's go inside before we go to this cathedral right here, La Catedral Metropolitana, which means the Metropolitan Cathedral. But right over here we have El Palacio Nacional. There has been a palace here since the age of the Aztecs, because this is where Moctezuma II took residence. This was his royal palace. But of course, not this modern structure we see here today. But Hernan Cortés wanted to kind of maintain the lineage of power, so he can, when he conquered these lands, so he can continue taking tribute. And thus he settled his own royal palace, because he wasn't officially royalty, here, same place where Moctezuma used to live. In this structure was later added with the 3rd floor. Okay, so this subway entrance is closed, so we gotta go to this one. Hey, Joe says great Mexican history. I think I'll get Chipotle later. Yeah, Chipotle's very Mexican American food, but awesome. You know, I'm gonna try to find a burrito here, even though that's a very American dish. I'm determined to find the one good burrito in Mexico City, if there are any. Hey, Oliver, nice to see you here. Hello, S. Fields. Hello, Ronald. ¿Cómo está acá? Hey, Veronica. Esta plaza es la segunda más grande del mundo. Yes, this is the 2nd largest plaza in the world after Moscow. Cars usually give you the right of way, but you know what? We're gonna follow the old ladies. All you gotta do is follow the Mexican abuelitas. When crossing the street, you know you're okay. The car isn't. Big wide roads, yeah. Big wide roads over here. All right, let's go inside to El Metro. Mexico has a gigantic metro system. And do let me know if I get service down here. I quite didn't have time to test it beforehand. So this is the Zocalo slash Tenochtitlan. Ooh, I love that. City beforehand, so you can see it spelled. Hey, B Griffin just sent me a $20 PayPal. Thank you so much, B Griffin. Thank you so much for moderating. I appreciate you. Hope you're doing well. Ooh, historical photos. Yeah, that's nice. Alright, let's see. Wow, so full today. Oh my god. It's Saturday, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, we're aiming to find one specific thing. And I'm not sure if I'm gonna require a metro ticket to get in. I'll show it to you from a little farther away. Okay, cool. So I do require a metro ticket to get in. I'll show it to you here. So we'll need to swipe in. So a little pro tip, if you want to see how Tenochtitlan used to look like, here it is. That is what we're standing on right now. This entire plaza and Zocalo used to be this. And right there in the center is the main temple, the Templo Mayor. This was dedicated to two different gods. It was dedicated to Huitzilopochtli, which I'm going to show you here right now. Huitzilopochtli, the god of war, was the main god for the Aztecs. He was worshipped in other nearby cultures, but wasn't the main one. It's almost like the equivalent of a sect of people who lived in Viking culture, just specifically worshipping Thor and not anyone else. That is kind of like the equivalent. And the other temple, so it was a dual temple, was to Tlaloc. Responsible for starting the third or the fourth Earth. I think it was the third Earth. Okay, so bad service here, so let's continue. Hey, Action Kid, nice to see you here. Welcome. Some buffering, yeah, some buffering down here. We'll go back up. Hey, you're going international, says Amy. Yeah, I've already done 18 cities. So this is now going to be the 19th. This is the 19th city. Before we run out of service. No, rush a little bit. A lot of Mexican food north of Mexico. So remember, Mexico is a huge country. Has a huge population as well. Bad service. everyone. Sorry about the bad service. The internet is out of my control. I'm doing my best. Okay, cool. So this is La Catedral Metropolitana. Before this ever was a cathedral, this was a Templo Mayor, where the Aztecs worshipped Huitzilopochtli and Tlaloc. Yes, the conquistador took over the Aztecs, conquered them, and took over Tenochtitlan, and decided to rename it into Mexico City. This new city upon the lake in the middle of the valley ended up needing a church, because Hernán Cortés wanted to get on the good favor of both the king of Spain and also the church, the Roman Catholic Church. And thus he decided to a cathedral right in the middle of the city on top of the Aztec temple, and that was in 1524. But the Aztec temple, tiny. A lot of people thought, oh, it was rather humble. They had to upgrade. In 1544, there was plans to build a gigantic cathedral done in the Gothic style, similar to the many Gothic cathedrals that you would see around Spain, such as in Salamanca and many other places. 1573 is when they officially started constructing this cathedral. It took them 3 centuries to fully build it. It finally opened, or at least it was finally constructed by 1813. Let's walk around, hopefully there's good service. And if not, and there's also a mass, so I gotta be a little bit quiet. Thank you so much, Joe, for the $2 super chat. Now there are chapels surrounding the entire. Each chapel is in honor of a specific saint. So before I continue, S. Fields asked a great question. There seems to be a mix of styles. Yeah, there is. The styles are a mix. First it was Gothic. And then they decided to go Baroque. If it ain't Baroque, don't fix it. And then they went Renaissance style. So they went entirely mishmash of styles. B. Griffin is like St. John the Divine, but on steroids. There's a mass going on right now.
Este es el Cordero de Dios que quita el pecado del mundo. Dichosos los invitados a la cena.
So in 1967, there was a huge fire, and that fire ended up ruining one of the major altars of forgiveness, and had to be fully repaired. No stained glass. It has an abstract design. So if you want to see the layout of the church, here it is. We entered through the Sacrarium, which is an additional part of the church, and then we went into the yellow part, which is the main church we're standing in right now. And here they have all listed, all the different chapels, which they call capillas. This is the church how it looked like in the 1940s. And here, how it looked like during the Mexican War when the US troops walked in. Wow. I almost don't want to leave, but there's bad service here. So you will be seeing Urbanist supporters, you'll be seeing a 360 video here. Let's go outside. I see the light. Oh, it's just Mexico City, all right. So yeah, I wish I could stay there more longer, but bad service there. But beautiful, beautiful cathedral. I'll show it to you from the outside. And yes, it is built on the top of the temple. Now also, the stones are made from volcanic rock nearby. So they use the same type of stones. Stones that were used in the temple of the Aztecs were to build this cathedral as well. So they really did build it on top of an Aztec city. Thank you, Maria, for the super chat. I appreciate you. Thanks for enjoying this. You're enjoying this beautiful church with a nice coffee. I'm glad you are. So now we're approaching the outside of the church. And we're seeing a lot of the cactus plants. We make mezcal or puro smaller. What's that? Very rough service. That might be Montezuma's second revenge, because he already has a revenge to drinking the water. Oh no, that's what it was. So, what a few people are asking why the signal issues. Well, not all cell networks are created equal. I'm currently using what's known as the best service, Telcel, but it seems to be struggling a little bit. And that's due to the antennas, that's due to the buildings, that's due to sometimes the subway underneath might cause issues. There's a lot of factors that go into maintaining good service. That's why live streaming ain't easy, and not that many people are doing it traveling yet as much. So here on Urbanist, we're innovators, pioneers into live streaming. Here's the church from the outside. Hey, Diana says, Ariel, to your good health. Thank you so much, Diana. I appreciate it. So I actually have a restaurant recommendation right over here. I might live stream it from it later today. Stay tuned. But look at this bench. This is probably the most outlandish bench I've seen. Laureen, a super urbanist, a mega urbanist, said that if she were to see this bench at night, she would be terrified. A few others agreed with her. It looks like spirits looming overhead. Let's do a bench test. I saw this yesterday. I did not sit on it because I wanted to save it for today, before we see the ruins of the Aztec temple. So who wants a bench test? Let me know who wants a bench test, a Mexican monumental artsy bench. Let me know. Will it consume me and take me down into the Aztec underworld? Or will it elevate me and take me to heavenly realms above? Who knows? Let's do a bench test. All right, let's sit down. Is it hot? It's hot. It's a hot bench. I'm not talking about the quality. I'm talking about the temperature. Okay, I might burn my my behind, so wish me luck. Hopefully my jeans aren't flammable. Oh, that's a comfy. Hey, how's it going? That's a comfy. Ooh, oh my God. Oh, it's so hot. It's so crazy hot in here. That is warm. Cozy. If it were a cold day, it would be perfect. Is it comfy? Oh, that's warm on the back. Oh my God. Okay, I'm sitting on this woman's, the spirit's face. I hope she doesn't mind. Ooh. It is highly uncomfortable because of how hot it is. And this woman's nose is sticking into my back. But it is pretty unique. Pretty unique. If it were cold and they weren't burning my jeans like a Aztec sacrificial ceremony, then I would enjoy it. So I would give this bench, this monumental artsy bench, it's too hot and the nose just sticks on you. So I would give this a 6.2. This is a 6.2. Points for being creative. Hey Diane, I appreciate the super chat. I say you were free. Scary at night, says Jacqueline. Okay, now my buns are very warm. You're gonna hear this sound a lot as we do our Mexico City live videos, as these guys playing like these accordion type instruments. But let's go into las ruinas de Templo Mayor, the ruins of the main temple. Welcome to what used to be part of the main temple in Tenochtitlan. Here again we see what used to be here. So ice cream truck. Yeah, it isn't. The guy does, you give him tips and he doesn't give you anything, it just continues to play the song. That's it. No ice cream involved in that transaction. Here's the church from behind. Saludos, Alberto. Desde España, buena oportunidad para practicar el español mío. Eso sí es correcto. Good opportunity to practice my Spanish. Yeah, you're right about that. Zapatos de hola, güey. Güey is like bro in Mexican Spanish. Y para todos los mexicanos que están mirando aquí este video, para mí la ciudad está bien padrísimo. De palabras mexicanas. So in Mexican Spanish, to say awesome is padrísimo or padre, está padre, which means father. I'm not sure why, but that's how you say like it's awesome, it's sick, it's cool. So here. ¿Padrísima o padrísimo, Ana? Yo he oído padrísimo porque es masculino. Wow. So what happened here? Why all these ruins? Why are we walking through a city where everyone's speaking Spanish and not Nahua, which is the Aztec language and the language spoken by many of the tribes around, and it's related to the Mayan language as well? Why are we not speaking Nahuatl right now? Well, for that we have to go back to ancient times, to the 1500s. The Aztec Empire over 100 years took over a huge part of this area of central Mexico, right here around the lake, which is right there in the middle. You see that lake over there? It's very huge. This is, right now, we are there at the Valley of Mexico. It's barely a lake anymore, but we're gonna see remnants of that lake later on these broadcasts. This is a better map of where we're standing right now. So you see Tenochtitlan right there, that island, that's where the Mexica people, Aztecs, because the Aztec word came later, it was made by Europeans. They came over here and settled to what used to be just a little island in the lake. Now, when the Spanish came here, they were stunned because they were met with this sight. Remember, the Spaniards started conquering lands like Hispaniola, which is Puerto Rico, where I'm from, my family's from, and they started conquering places also like Cuba. But there was no, frankly, they were mostly for religious ceremonies. But here we had a full-blown city, and let alone, this city wasn't just built on any type of land. It was built in a tiny little island in the middle of a lake, and they expanded this tiny little island in order to make a series of canals. This was the Venice of the West. That's what the Spaniards called it. But who were the Spaniards that came? Well, the guy who was Cuba's governor, Diego Velázquez, not to be confused with the painter of the same name, he had a protege under his wing. He was in his mid-20s when he came over to Cuba. Here's him a little bit later in life, Hernán Cortés. Hernán Cortés in the middle of Spain, where a lot of it came from, because there was not that many resources in this little town. A lot of the people who lived there, especially men who were able-bodied, usually became mercenaries and then later conquistadors. But Hernán Cortés was different. His father wanted to leave him a different path, so he sent him to university to become a bureaucrat and study law. But Hernán Cortés got pretty bored of studying law, and he decided to look out west beyond the sea and see what new worlds lie ahead. By the name of Pedro. There. Okay, we're back. So it's gonna be a bit hard. Alright. We're back. It's a bit hard. I want to show you the temples, but they are bad service here. I can show you from afar. Okay, I can show you from afar. Okay, so his right-hand man was Pedro de Alvarado, who was known for having a red beard. I think he also may have blonde hair. I'm not entirely sure what his hair color was, but a lot of Aztecs were surprised when they saw his hair color because people here didn't really have blonde or red hair. Hernan Cortés in Cuba has an affair with a woman by the last name of Suarez. And Suarez had a sister who was being courted by Diego Velázquez, the governor of Cuba. He got pissed off that Hernan Cortés was having this affair with this sister of his would-be wife, and he decided to imprison him and force him to marry. And force him to be married. But he was tired of being under the reins of the governor of Cuba, so he decided to set an expedition to go to these lands that many people didn't know about yet, the Mexica, Mexico. Well, he took a few ships, sailed out here to Mexico, and landed in what is modern-day Veracruz. According to legend, according to myth, he set fire to his ships and destroyed them so his men would know that there was no looking back. That is a bit more of a legend. In reality, he wanted to dismantle the ships, use the wood to build Veracruz and make a settlement. Veracruz is along the Caribbean coast, along the Gulf Coast in Mexico. That's when he decided to go further inland because he heard rumors of this city surrounded by gold and jewels with huge temples. And he had a lust for gold, a lust for wealth, a lust to conquer new lands for glory. Thus, he said he went over to Tenochtitlan, this fabled city in the lake. Luckily, he had a translator by the name of Marina. And Marina was one of a former escaped slaves from the Aztecs. She was from a nearby town or nearby vassal state that was being controlled by the Aztecs. And there was a lot of resentment towards the Aztecs. As I mentioned, the Aztecs worshipped the god of war, Huitzilopochtli. So Huitzilopochtli required a lot of sacrifice. Huitzilopochtli was known for eating hearts, according to myth. And thus, that's exactly what the Aztecs gave to their god. Hearts. And this is not an exaggeration. You know, when I first came here to Mexico, I thought to myself, maybe this is kind of Europeans exaggerating the atrocities of this primitive area of the world, quote unquote, but not quite. They literally sacrificed thousands of people and tore out their hearts and threw them down the steps of the Templo Mayor. The Spaniards, Hernan Cortés, when he first came here, he was stunned, like all his men, to see the city. But then they were horrified when they started walking through its streets, going through its canals on their mighty horses, which to the Aztecs, they had no idea what the horse was. So to them, it seemed like rather maybe a mythical beast, or at least something they couldn't quite comprehend. To them, they also thought the cannons, or at least Cortés wanted to make them believe that the cannons were beasts of their own, with their own minds and their own goals. So as they approached the temple, they end up seeing, and this might be a little bit graphic if you're watching with little ones, they saw body parts hung up. They might have seen acts of cannibalism right there in the middle of the street from either the priests or the people who were too poor, the commoners, who just needed some sustenance. And they took in order to utilize every single part of them. This is not exaggeration. This is not some fable from the Europeans to try to justify them conquering Spanish lands. Of course, conquer Mexican lands. Of course, they might have used those stories to gather support from Spain and from the Christian kingdoms. But it's all real. So why does the temple look like this? Well, the temples were built in stages. So let's zoom over here. They were built in stages. So you see, to kind of make it out as a temple or as a pyramid when you come over here. But here's a better graphic. So the temples kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger with every new ruler, until it reached the final size with his own very eyes. So let's walk. I'm gonna walk back. There might be a little bit bad service.
¿Te acuerdas de la...?
Okay, we're back. All right, everyone. I'm a little bit bummed out that there's bad service because this is just so interesting. I wish I could show you more details, but there's bad service exactly at the thing I want to show you. Let me know if anyone's watching from Mexico. Do you have any recommendations for other types of services I might try to use? I'm using right now Telcel. Y alguien está mirando de México y tú puedes sugerir hay un mejor servicio telefónica aquí que se puede usar. Yo estoy usando ahora Telcel. Me avisas. All right, let me show you here from a distance. Yeah, I'm gonna need some sun. I already used sunscreen, but I'm gonna need a lot more. There's no shade here. Okay, these people are blocking it. Oh no! Don't move. Don't move soon enough. They'll move soon enough. All right. Back in the 1970s, when they move, I'll show you what they found there. Back in the 1970s, they found this huge stone. It was of a woman, of a goddess, named... Ooh, I might be mispronouncing this. This is gonna be... Koyoshakwi. That's how you say it. Koyoshakwi. They found this stone, and this is a replica of the stone that we see people passing through right now. You see it right there, that round tablet? That's not the original one. They moved the original one to the museum. But this is a very interesting thing. Let's see the colorized version, because it lends a little bit of light as to why did they do sacrifices. Actually, let me show you this photo better. Why did they do sacrifices in the first place? Here, Koyoshakwi was a goddess who birthed more than 400 sons and daughters. Those 400 sons and daughters went on to become the stars. But here we see Koyoshakwi depicted dismembered. Yup, dismembered. Legs off, amputated. Arms amputated. Bones sticking out from the attack, and her head taken off as well. Let me not use those words too much to not anger the YT gods, the YT algorithm. So why was she decapitated? Why was she dismembered? Well, she had more than 400 sons and daughters. But then, as she was sweeping in the temple, a feather fell down. And she took her feather and put it right by her womb. That feather ended up impregnating her. Don't ask me how a feather can impregnate someone. They're gods after all. And then she gave birth. She had a son. The 400 kids were pissed off that she cheated, quote unquote, with their godly father and decided to attack with her. As they went to attack Bean, Huitzilopochtli. Yeah, I'm gonna need a huge hat. No wonder the sombreros are so big. That's why. So Huitzilopochtli came out as a fully formed human being, or a fully formed person, or gods, but in the form of a person. Masculine, huge, bulging muscles, and in full armament and weaponry. Huitzilopochtli decided to protect his mother immediately out. Killed all those sons and daughters, at least a good portion of them. As they were killed off, they quickly became the stars in the sky. And here we're going to start to see the Aztec warriors doing these rituals of cleansing. Eder says, Huitzilopochtli, yes. Say it with me, Huitzilopochtli. It's actually, once you get the hang of saying the name, it's kind of addictive to just keep saying it. Well, hopefully I won't say it too long. I don't want to summon him. So these guys, of course, are doing this for tips. I'm not sure if they're actually people who believe in neo-paganism or, you know, want to revive Aztec culture. I'm not sure if that's their intent or if they're doing this for tips. Let me know if anyone's from Mexico City. There's cameras, says Sharpies, yes. And of course the Templo Mayor unfortunately is closed because the roof collapsed and they had to do repairs. Don't summon like Beetlejuice. Yeah, I can't say Huitzilopochtli too many times. Otherwise it would be bad news. The war is coming. We hear the war horns. The man screaming in the news. Yeah, we hear the man screaming in the news. If you've seen the Netflix walk. The horn is from the nearest Starbucks, says it all on. Around, I wanted to show you mostly the temple. So I'm just wandering around just a little bit. But yeah, we'll do something. Can you guys hear me? I think you can. All right, let's go right in front of Palacio Nacional. Did you already drink your coffee? I did drink my coffee. Uh-oh. Police came and they already packed up the vendors. I guess some places you don't have permits. All right, so Huitzilopochtli. In the moon. The thing is, their mother was a victim. she was dismembered and thrown off the temple down the steps. Hence, every single Aztec sacrificial ritual, or at least a portion of them, were done in the style of that event of Coyoxauhqui being thrown down the temple. And here I think we have people protesting because this is basically the White House of Mexico. What?
What is your channel?
Channel's Urbanist Exploring Cities. Urbanist Exploring Cities. Yeah. Facebook and YouTube. Both of them. Exploring Cities. Yeah. Have a great day.
Maestro jubilado con 45 años de servicio.
Here's a depiction of the Aztecs doing their human sacrifices. And here's an aerial view of where we're walking through. What are they protesting? I don't know, Joe. Don't know, actually. But I don't get into politics, so I'm not gonna really find it out. Just like the movie Apocalypto. Yeah, Apocalypto, you know, does suffer a little bit of kind of Eurocentrism. They do depict the Aztecs and or Maya very primitive. So while they did a lot of human sacrifices and cannibalism, which is even worse, they were a fully formed city, a fully formed civilization. All right, let me get into the shade so I can finish off this story. I'm gonna buy myself. Ooh, a portico. Look at this. Oh, I love this. ¿Cuántos días va a quedarte en México? Yo estoy quedándome 14 días en total. So me falta como 12 días hasta el 27 de mayo. I'm staying 14 days in total until May 27th. Hey, Will T says, I feel like you're taking us. I am, so I'm glad you're enjoying it. This channel is about virtual travel. It's not really about giving you information, but just telling you cool stories while walking around the city, and mostly live video. So I'm glad you're enjoying it. So, Hernan Cortés comes into Teotihuacan, or Tenochtitlan, sorry. Comes into Tenochtitlan and decides to attack. A whole bunch of stuff happens, but one night he's a bit out of he went away for a little bit and left Pedro Alvarado, the blonde reddish hair guy who stunned the Mexica when he first came here. And Pedro Alvarado had a lot less patience than Hernan Cortés, so he started killing a bunch of Aztecs. They had Moctezuma under control. They kidnapped him. They kidnapped the very king, very emperor of the Aztec Empire. He was a puppet for quite a while. So they were met with resistance. The entire city of Tenochtitlan was erupting in riots. And they take Moctezuma out of the main temple of the National Palace, Royal Palace, and tells them to calm the people. But the people already know that Moctezuma has failed. They no longer trust him. So they start throwing rocks, they start throwing stones, and start throwing arrows and whatever they can at him. According to most accounts, one of the stones hit him in the head and he died shortly thereafter. Other or Cortés killed Moctezuma, or at the very least allowed him to die, did not tend to his wounds. Thus, the entire city was even more angry that now the emperor was dead. The Spanish had to escape. They tried to bring all the gold and all the jewelry and all the treasures with them, but the only way out of the city by land was to go on the huge causeways. So there were huge bridges that connected right to the land from the island of Tenochtitlan. They quite didn't have access to the rafts, so they couldn't do it by water, unlike the Aztecs who used lots of rafts, canoes, and other types of boats. They started escaping, but they were too heavy with all the jewelry. So they had to start throwing the jewelry down and all the gold and silver down into the lake. It was lost. This was an utter disaster for Spanish men were slaughtered in the causeway. And the Spaniards ended up calling this La Noche Trista, the sad night. And this made Hernán Cortés even more determined to take over the city. So here is a depiction of La Noche Trista. And then they come back. You can see the huge causeway right over here. And we see the huge pyramid temples. Hey, Melanie, thank you so much for the super chat. And let's walk a little bit further down and I'll show you this church over here. Here is Hernán Cortés right there, bearded. Many of the conquistadors were indeed bearded. But it is very rare, or if a little bit of hair on their chins, but mostly So this is 1524. Let me see if I can get service again. Okay, it's like a game of dodging a bad signal. Oh my god, okay everyone. Oh wow. Yeah, it's like a... Oh my god. Let me just end the story here. April 13th, 15... Oh no. Hi. Okay, back to square one. Yes, we're ending where we're starting. August 1521. Fall of Tenochtitlan. Hernan Cortes, along with the allies that he had from the other nearby, and there's a city nowadays still called Zocalo. A few years later, Hernan Cortes started building on top of the city. But not intentionally. He did it out of necessity to conquer the city because it was too powerful. There were too many people. Two things on this side. No, bad service. So yeah, he had two things on the side. Nearby tribes who were sick and tired of the Aztecs being killed on an annual basis. Some people say tens of thousands.
Yo te quedo de calle la